Right. So Scribe should have an invite to the Google Hangout as well. It's still showing as unlisted, is it?
Hello.
Well, hello.
Hello.
You're all right, my lover.
That's news to me.
A second, right? Okay. Save changes. Do I have to?
Well, hello, my cock jockey. How are you?
Cock jockey. Eesh.
Is
Keep it
that
clean,
me?
folks.
Or is that, or who's that? Who's the cock jockey?
Okay, I'll keep it clean.
Better not be calling me a cock jockey.
I'm the. Okay.
Are you a cockney jockey?
Definitely not.
I could be.
I did my first. I did my first live interview last night.
I believe so.
Oh, yeah, you were on the chat for that, weren't you?
Me?
Oh, with Destiny Twilight.
Yeah.
I
that was
missed it.
interesting. That.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I interviewed Destiny about her being in a cult.
I missed the first bit, but I think I caught up there towards the end.
Yeah, it was really interesting, all things considered.
Quite fascinating, especially religious ones. I think it's just because I grew up in a very highly religious family.
Oh, what religion, if you can say?
Just Christian.
Yeah.
Like
Nuki Brun.
Yeah.
Any particular
at school,
denomination?
I was Methodist.
Okay.
Yeah. So obviously I went to Sunday school from a little kid and everything like that. And then when I was 9, my parents divorced and I moved over to Barbados. My granddad was a priest. He was an Anglican priest. Yeah, so that was quite interesting. Not to mention that Barbados is totally different again as well. It's a little bit one of those families sometimes where like kids are meant to be seen and not heard.
Very old-fashioned.
Yeah. It was like my granddad was the head of the household and that was it. Kind of thing.
A patriarchy?
Yeah. I grew up in an actual patriarchy.
Oh my god. You must be the most purest feminist ever.
You would think so. In all honesty, I should be, but yeah, I had brains.
You got
But
woke.
Anyway. Yeah. I think the whole coming out with the religion-y thing a little bit was, I think I was about 13, 14, and what started doing, because obviously in Barbados we did a lot of like African American history and the slave trade and everything like that, and then obviously the indigenous populations of the islands in the Americas and stuff. So we did a lot on like American Indians and things, and I started like getting quite into the mythology and the history of it.
Oh, I thought you were saying that you took part in the slave trade. I was like, what? Like, you know, in Barbados, we did the slave trade. I was like, what the fuck? Pardon my French.
We did the slave trade like in school and that, in history class and stuff. So it was quite heavily, obviously like all that kind of history. But yeah, so I started getting into the whole American Indians and stuff. And then I was like, obviously like reading the Bible as well. And it's like, if you don't believe in God, you'll burn for an eternity in hell. And I was reading about the American Indians who were these really cool people that didn't believe in God. And I just remember turning to my mum one day and thinking, Mummy, so does this mean that like all American Indians are going to burn in hell because they don't believe in God?
Yes.
That kind of stumped her for a little bit. And then obviously that just led to everything else after that.
Well, unless you're...
Does that mean everybody? Like, what about Buddhists? And what about these people and those people? Like, there's everybody. This doesn't sound right.
Well, the Mormons found a solution to that. What they do is they will baptize you after death to ensure that your soul goes to heaven. And they've actually gotten in trouble for, on, I believe it's at this point, 8 or 9 separate occasions, posthumously baptizing Anne Frank.
Oh.
Yes.
They did George Carlin as well.
Oh, did they? I'm sure he'd appreciate that.
Yeah, so it's a bit weird. So I kind of stopped believing wholeheartedly, but I still was kind of believed in the whole God thing quite late on, even after I kept thinking this isn't right. And I moved away from like organized religion, but I still kind of had this loose idea that there was a God. He just didn't follow all this crazy shit that people had put into books.
So
And then
you're
I
a
think that
deist
just
more than you're a
faded as
theist?
well. Yeah, I think that just kind of faded as well after time, really, to be honest with you. I think it was only last year that I finally told my mum I was an atheist. And she just went, "Oh, really?" I was like, yeah, I think I am. She was like, "Oh," that was it. I thought, oh, well, that wasn't so bad.
I got discriminated against for being an atheist at one point.
Really?
I was dating a girl who we had a conversation previously about religion, and she was just this side of religious rather than quote unquote being spiritual. And I had thought I had made it clear in that conversation that I was a non-believer. So anyway, maybe about 2 months into the dating, we're sitting on a couch watching a stupid action movie, and out of the blue, she turns to me and she says, "You know, I'm glad that you at least believe in God." Because somehow she had taken it that I was spiritual, not real, or something. And I turned to her and I said, "Well, I don't. I don't believe in God." And she says, "You're an atheist?" And you would have thought that A, the temperature in the room dropped 20 degrees, and B, the 3 inches that were between us sitting on the couch turned into 4 miles, because it was that quick that the entire atmosphere shifted just because of that revelation on her part. And that was effectively the end of the relationship. And I felt so weird afterwards. I went home and I talked to my sister and I said, "I think I was just religiously discriminated against."
It's a little bit harsh.
Yeah.
Like one of my best friends at school, her family was like, I thought that although like it was a kind of strictest household, it wasn't that bad. My mum and my dad always like, I was one of those kids that asked endless questions, and I was lucky to have parents that would answer them to the best of their ability, kind of thing. So I suppose I was quite lucky in that respect. I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, so my best friend at school, but her family was really strict, and I used to read a lot of like fantasy novels, like Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. Excuse me. And but she wasn't allowed to read like books like that because they were evil, because magic was evil.
Mm-hmm.
But she would come over to my house, and like her mum knew I read, but I think the only reason she was allowed to associate with me was because my grandfather was a priest, so I must be okay. But yeah, she wasn't allowed like many friends, and like a lot of the books that we used to read, she used to have to come to mine and would have to read them in secret. She'd have to keep her books at my house. It was really strange.
Mm.
And she was quite an open-minded person as well, so it was hard. Yeah, and then she started dating this guy who was, I think he was Muslim.
You think he was Muslim?
Yeah, I didn't really pay much attention to that kind of stuff when I was a kid. It's just like whatever. When I was younger. But yeah, that had to be hidden too. I was like, Jesus, I thought it was strict in my growing up. It's got to do something to you though, really. Growing up, that
Where did Tail go?
kind of restriction on your life all the time. Do you know what I mean? Like not even being able to read certain books and that because the evil and.
Yeah,
I've been taken up.
Oh. You got taken out by some like right-wing alt Antifa ninjas.
No, taken up by Jesus.
Oh, you were raptured.
Aye.
Oh, I didn't know you were that pure of heart.
I ate my heart.
I don't
with
think he
haggis.
is.
I was about to say I was under the impression you were a Scotsman. I don't think you can be raptured.
Yeah, only humans get raptured.
Exactly. You're a tailed haggis.
It's a tailed cunt, actually, I think.
Yeah, but hey, keep it clean. Jeez.
I do
Thanks.
apologise. I don't even like that word, to be honest with you.
Could have fooled me.
Been hanging around with
Just
bad
any
company.
excuse to call me a cunt, really.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
She'll break her own rules to insult you.
I don't have too many rules anyway.
Rules? What rules?
Yes, but anyway, back to the point. If Tailed can remember his original point that started all of this, I remember it had something to do with empathy.
Oh yeah. So we were just in a hangout before this. So before you were here, Scribe, saying the psychology of conservatives or right-leaning people compared to those on the left. Things like depression could maybe not be cured, but quite a lot of people may be able to control their depression better if they were so more conservative values are more agreeable, if that makes any sense.
See, because I think John Peterson went on about this a little bit, didn't he? When he was going on about how like the whole authoritarian left and authoritarian right, and they aligned like empathy and authoritarian values to various leaning principles. Did you watch any of that? Tailed.
I may have done. If I did, I didn't take much of it in.
He did an interview with Lawrence Southern on a Rebel Media thingy where they talked about it, and it was quite interesting. Exactly that.
Oh, right,
about
okay.
the whole empathy and stuff like that. It was quite interesting. But
well,
I
came up with it independently.
because they were saying like, yeah, and that's what's fascinating. That like just the fact that people can just spot it, just randomly like that, I think gives it more credence. Really, to be fair, as well.
Well, I don't know. I was just musing one day. I was, just sort of thinking, that people who tend to be more liberal in their views, in my experience, anyway, I don't know if there's any studies being done on this, but in my view, people who are more right-leaning seem to have fewer problems with mental health and stuff like that.
You would be wrong.
Oh.
I know these are my family and otherwise. I know. Well, okay. Let me back up. I can only speak anecdotally, but
well, that's what I was saying as well. Yeah.
Yeah, mental illness. I know plenty of people on quote unquote the right who, I mean, the talk radio in the U.S. during the Clinton administration was full of conspiracy theorists and right-wing nut jobs. I mean, it exists on both sides of the aisle. I don't know if there's a higher propensity for it necessarily. Maybe there's a study on that, but just what we're seeing right now with the left and all the hyperbole and all the nutballing that's going on is, from my memory, a direct mirror to the Tea Partiers of Obama's administration, and before them, the right-wing talk radio, far-right Christian coalition sect back during when Clinton was president. So I think there's an equal balance of crazy on either side of the extremes, depending on what who's in charge at the time.
That's probably the problem, really, is the fact that it's the extreme.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think what I was kind of getting at was that people on the left, and again, I don't like using some of these terms, but
Yeah.
You kind of get what I mean anyway. I hope. But people on the left tend to have, well, at least in my experience, they tend to have more kind of earlier, have a bit more kind of empathy, but to the point, especially in Scotland, for example, it's like, oh, we need the government to step in to help this person and these people, and everything needs to be done. We need to help these people. It's all about this kind of thing. So I have to wonder if could see it from a more sort of right-wing perspective. I'm thinking of my conversations with Ferg. I mean, I'm ranting about how socialized healthcare is, the worst thing ever. But I think basically, a lot of people who are on the left are so wrapped up in trying to save everyone, from hardship and from illness and from loads of different things that overwhelming for them, and basically they start kind of stuff like that. I don't know. I'm just rambling a bit.
No, what you're talking. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
They were saying that like the whole empathy thing is the problem with like these left liberals, is the fact that they themselves see like hurt and everything, and yes, that's what they want to do. They want to make people feel like less bad, kind of thing. But a lot of the time that's paired with the fact that it's because they themselves probably feel like that for whatever reason, and it's unfortunately a disassociation, because the way we live doesn't really match our nature anymore. And I think that's the root of all the problems that are going on currently. But
there's a term that I think you guys would probably find most fitting to this, and it's actually been researched. It's called pathological altruism. Essentially, the extreme side of trying to do good, but in the process, of course, doing harm, even though from your perspective you're a good person and your heart's in the right place. But just like with everything in moderation. It's sort of like if you were an extremist of the Janus religion, where it's like you couldn't even go outside because you wouldn't want to step on an ant because you're a complete pacifist. There's such a thing as being too empathetic to the world or to everything around you, to where you just can't even move. Except in this instance, we see the left or the progressive, supreme left, what do you want to call them, acting with moral impunity because everything is evil, or the Nazis or anything else. So, they have to be fighting on the side of right, not political right, but on the side of righteousness, because they are better than everyone else.
And it's weird because it's like they've got this whole empathy thing. They want to be helping people, but at the same time, this whole self-identity thing is quite selfish as well at the same time. And it's strange because that's what drives a lot of it, is this need for to be individual. I think, but in order to achieve this individuality, they do it by aligning themselves in groups, and it's
that's the thing that the thing about that is they have to be able to point to a certain demographic and say, see, these people need help. So without being able to do that, it's just kind of, oh well, there's this person over here needs help. But if you can say all of black people need help, then suddenly they're doing a good thing.
I have a theory on that, and I don't know how accurate I might or might not be, but I kind of think of two things when I think about the identity politics sort of outbreak we've had over the last few years. And I think it has to do with the internet and social media, and what I used to call the Punky Brewster effect. You guys remember who Punky Brewster was?
Was that Devin Townsend?
No, this is a TV show back in the 80s, an American sitcom. It was this little girl named Punky Brewster, and she was this orphan, and she was taken in, and she was very unique. She wore the part of her gimmick was she wore a lot of very colorful clothing, and she wore like mismatched socks, and she had one ponytail shorter than the other one, and she was this sort of unique little tomboy angel in a very drab world that brought happiness to people and everything. That was kind of the shtick of the show. And the thing is that before the internet, I could be the most outstanding musician in my community. As soon as the internet pops up and you're exposed to everything at once, I'm no longer unique. There's somebody else that's out there and greater, and they can get more attention than I could because of the internet and YouTube and everything else. So you can't be something, you can't stand out the way you used to. So the easier way to stand out and to belong is to find the lowest common denominator, not about who you are, because that takes too long and our attention spans are down to like nanoseconds. So all that matters is what you are and how quickly you can mesh with another group of people. And I think that's why we see this sort of tribalism so rampant right now, is because it's a lot easier to identify with and identify yourself as something rather than someone, because that takes too long and that would take actual human interaction. Whereas if I use Twitter or a message board or something else, you don't have to get that deep and you can get in real quick.
Ah, that does make sense.
Just a theory, but I'm trying to think of like why. I mean, I could be mistaken, because obviously, media is much more available now than it was in the past. But it seems as though this identity politics thing is far more present now than it was in the past. I could be mistaken.
I just need to be different and to stand out, and they seem to want everything to change now as well. It's a very selfish drive. I think like we don't seem, and we're at the point now where really we should be thinking about human goals. Do you know what I mean? Like, as go kind of now, we're at the kind of level technologically and communication, and I know that there's still pockets of the world that kind of need to be fixed before we can move forward as a species, but this is where we need to be aiming at as a human, and yet we seem to be just concentrating on me, and it's like,
that's why we need,
going to get us anywhere.
That's why we need an alien invasion.
It's going to collapse.
If we have an alien invasion, that'll unify the human species real quick. But until we have some kind of outward threat that makes us all afraid as one giant planet, we're going to be tribes for the next 1,000 years.
Need that drunken uncle. Football sucks. Donkey balls. Right, carry on.
That's all. I can't follow. I can't follow. Football sucks. Donkey balls. I don't have anything. I'm done.
That's it. We're going. That's it. Thanks for watching, guys.
Bye, guys. Football sucks. Bye.
I was asked that question when I first moved back to England, actually. Sunderland and Newcastle, and I didn't really care, so I just said I supported Aston Villa because of the pretty colours. No idea the joy in watching the expression shift over a football fan's face when facing
crestfallen.
I like the pretty colours. Just sit back and watch the faces. It was brilliant. I used to love doing it.
I need to say I don't like football.
I thought I was serious. Where am I from? Neither. Ruining our podcast content. Oh dear. Right. Anyway, as well, the point I was getting back onto with the whole individual identity and feminism. I don't understand how those two are concurrently running together, because feminism really at its core is seeking to destroy social constructs. At least that's what I see it as. And to be fair, a lot of them could be done with being destroyed, in all fairness. And then you've got all these people with the whole multiple identities and that are just trying to create more. Like, hang on, we're trying to get rid of this whole idea that, women can only do this and men can only do that thing. Because yes, although there are some things that I do believe are specific to each gender, there are a lot of things currently that aren't, that don't need to be. And like, feminism seeks to destroy them, and then this whole multiple genders thing seeks to just keep making more, and I don't. It's weird how people can believe the two.
Yeah, I think so. The way I've come to see feminism, or at least third wave feminism right now, is feminism as a ideology in the modern day is a soldier without a war. And so in order to justify its continued existence, it has to have a battle to fight. And in the absence of, at least in the West, real, true oppression and discrimination against women being able to do things, or laws that would target them or exclude them, what do they have left to battle against except the status quo of gender roles? Because feminism was about empowering women. So now, with women empowered, how can they take the idea of femininity or just gender and find a battle to fight with it?
Yeah, but the problem is most women don't seem to realize that they are empowered, and it's crazy.
Well, I mean, if you can't, and this comes back to what I was talking about before with people trying to find an identity. Part of establishing your identity, and part of what has been hailed in our media culture for so long about what makes someone special and unique, is someone who overcomes hardship, someone who overcomes a grand struggle. I've said it a lot in my own personal life. Redemption is always far more hailed than consistency. If I never do anything wrong, I don't get nearly as much press as if I'm a reformed crack dealer who becomes a rap star, or something like that. So if you don't have a battle to fight to make you everybody in their own mind wants to be the hero of their own story. I mean, that's what drives a lot of, masculinity and, hero fantasies and things. If you're not, how can you be significant? How can you be doing good in the world? How can you be the hero if you don't have an enemy? And in the absence of real oppression, in the absence of real hardship like people knew it 50 or 100 years ago, you have to make up your own demons. And this is part of what's driving people. I mean, in the quest for individuality, in the quest to be relevant in a world where I can't turn on YouTube without seeing 50, 60 people doing exactly what I do in my videos, how can I make myself stand out? How can I develop my own identity and feel special amongst the horde? I have to be the hero. That's my notion behind the psychology of it, anyway.
Well, they're emotionally invested as well, though.
Well, but what else?
That's why I don't get it.
Well, that's all they have. We're not dealing with the physical world. We're dealing with ideas. We're dealing with justifying your own sense of self. And how do you do that? Through words and images on the internet. And, you can't, because they don't have a war to fight. So what do they have to fight with? Oh, well, their words and their emotions and their sense of passion for this thing. They have to care. It's the pathological altruism. It's like, I care so much that I'm angry and I have to invest myself into this because that's where the battle is. I'm not going to win the argument over logic because I don't have any. All I have is my passion, and that's going to win the day.
I think that's why I don't get it, because I just don't care.
Well, have you ever been obsessed with something?
I'm just me. Like, I've just always been.
Have you ever been obsessed with something?
And I don't really care if anybody else.
Well, okay. Have you ever been really passionate about something or a person or a relationship beyond reason, even for just a minute?
No.
You've never been obsessed with somebody, like in a love relationship or anything?
Obsessed? No.
Okay. For a very brief time in my life, I never did anything like in the physical world to express it, but I mentally in junior high, and thankfully was in that weird age in teen years where you're coming into your sort of puberty and everything else. But I can honestly say, to the point of being in a stalker mindset for this one girl. And I look back on it now and it just horrifies me. It's like, how the hell, did I get to that point? I can find a bunch of reasons, but it's no excuse. But as a reference point, I can look back and say that it's that place, that mental landscape I was inhabiting at that point. That's where I think this is. It's like you can't help but feel that you're doing what you need to do to make yourself feel important. Like I had to love this girl so intensely that my love for her would overcome the reality of my not having the courage to actually talk to her. You know, somehow I could just sort of psychically make things happen because I cared so much. And I try to, again, I'm not in their heads. I don't know what it is like to be a political ideologue or an activist beyond the realm of reason, but I do know what it's like to be alive in just an emotional state that supersedes a rational state. And when you're there, it all makes a kind of sense, and it all seems like it's magical thinking. It's like, as long as I care enough, as long as I feel hard enough, then I can overcome the boundaries of reality and make the world act the way I want it to. So I can kind of empathize with it. Yeah.
Because then it's like, if what you say is true, then it's if they believe that they're right, I suppose, as strongly as we believe they're wrong, what chance do I have?
Well, I mean, how do people...
It's like the whole thing with Islam and stuff, and like the terrorists, and people just say, oh, just talk to them. And I'm like, you're not getting it. That says, like, as strongly, right, as you are convinced that they are wrong. Think about how strongly. You wouldn't let them convince you that they were right. I said, that's how strongly they believe, and probably more because you don't have a God that you're following as well. I said, so just think, they wouldn't be able to convince you. So what makes you think that you can convince them?
Well,
and just people go,
yeah.
I says, you can't talk them out of it.
No, I mean, if you're having a one-on-one debate with someone, and this is something that a lot of people that I see having debates seem to not understand. If you're like, if we were doing a stream and you were on one side of the argument and I was on the other, the idea isn't that I'm going to change your mind. That shouldn't be the goal of either person. The goal should be to lay out each argument, because who you're debating for is the audience. The minds you're going to change are anybody that's listening that's on the fence. You're not going to change the true believer's mind necessarily. I mean, I talked to Destiny's Twilight last night and how she thankfully thought her way out of the illogic of the religion she was born into, and has, sort of emancipated herself from that. So it's possible for someone to do it, but it's rare that it's someone on the outside curing you. I mean, almost always it has to come from someone stopping, asking a couple of questions about or questioning their beliefs, and then coming to some new revelation about it. As far as the debate needs to happen, at least in the public square, if for no other reason than to have the public at large hear the unfiltered arguments from both sides,
and then make their mind up.
And then make up their mind. I mean, this is why I did a video with Foggy on this about Richard Spencer getting punched. It's like, go punch a Nazi. And I'm like, no, don't punch him. No, you don't want to punch the Nazis. You don't want to punch the Nazis. You don't want to kill the homophobes. You want these people out in the public square. You want them speaking their minds, and you don't want to force them underground. As soon as you force them underground, they become their own little echo chamber. And when you've got poisonous ideas festering all alone somewhere, this is where you get the real extremists, the guys who think the world operates in a way that doesn't mesh with reality, but then they can't speak their minds because they're going to get punched. I want those I want bad ideas to be confronted with better ideas and have other people hear them, because it doesn't help anything to try to drive it all away with violence or anything else.
Yeah, Kraut did a very good video on that just recently, actually, just today.
Yeah.
To do with fascism and communism in Italy in the 1970s and 80s, and just how they basically fed off each other, and they ended up thinking, violence is the only way to settle this, and then everybody in the middle just gets fucked by it.
Yeah, then we have the Klingons. We got a warrior culture. It's like the only way to do things is through violence. Yeah.
I was going to say, not the Klingons. Stand no chance against the Klingons.
Okay, the Mandalorians. I was like Star Wars better.
I don't have enough toilet paper for all those Klingons.
Oh dear.
Gross.
Oh dear.
You dirty Scot.
Had the look of the tone. It was going so well.
Sensible in this stream. I just had to do something.
Just do something silly.
Scots are all ruiners.
Add a bit of humour.
A bit of humor. I could be funny.
Yes, yes, you can. I do always laugh in your videos.
Usually when you're not here.
Wait, you always laugh in my videos? Most of my videos are pretty grim.
Yeah, I have a very grim sense of humour.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
Hence why I burst out laughing the first time I saw Richard Spencer get punched in the side of the head.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry, but I did.
No,
it was just whoosh. I was like, whoa, you fucker. And then you stop and you think, I probably shouldn't have laughed, but it was funny as hell.
I laughed.
But yeah, just watching it. It was just, in my head, it was just that some dickhead punching another dickhead.
Oh, I'm just
funny.
kind of, I'm slightly, even though this is not something I wish for, I'm pretty sure it's going to happen at some point. The sort of hypocrisy / schadenfreude I'm going to witness and then feel once one of these Nazi guys punches a leftist. Because the left will go absolutely apeshit. Pardon my French.
Because I mean, it's been quite bad in America, really, with all the riots and things and whatnot. I haven't been following it a lot because I've been trying to. Politics isn't my thing mostly, and definitely not that of another country. But it is quite scary to see the lengths people are willing to go to at the minute.
Well, the thing that scares me more than the occasional riot or outburst or something is the stuff that no one sees and isn't reported on. I just did I'll probably do another one pretty soon. I did a video. I think you saw it, about the school teachers talking about their classrooms. And and just having a room full of adults, just sort of feeding into each other's notions of teaching kids to feel ashamed.
That's quite scary.
Yeah, ashamed of themselves for who they are or what they are, to see others as either a danger or victims, and just talking about it as though you were just talking about real serious issues, like, well, I may be an English teacher, but I feel like I have to teach social justice. I'm like, what? No, yeah. What? How do you make that leap? And it just sounds so natural to them. And yeah, so things like that. I've spotted this with some of the other things I've done, like the boom experience, and like, oh, this is a thing for this is a school event for specific races and only boys, no white people allowed. And like,
See, the whole race thing actually fascinates me because obviously my granddad was half black. Like, my mum was born in Barbados. I'm pretty sure my grandparents were born in Barbados as well, if not raised there. So, and then I went to school there from the age of 9 to 16. So, like, that was a large chunk of my formative years was spent as a white minority. So, when I hear, like, I'm not the whole police brutality and all that kind of stuff, but it's like the little microaggressions that they go on about, and how it's racist to ask them where they're from, and like, hair and all this nonsense, right? Really irritates me because yes, it's a thing, white person thing, because every one of those microaggressions that they experience as a black person in a white majority country, I experienced as a white person in a black majority country. Like, I could be sitting somewhere, I don't know, at the beach or whatever, or And somebody would come over and they'd be like, "Oh, how long are you here for?" And I would be like, "Oh, Mummy's picking us up in a couple of hours." And they were like, "No, how long are you in Barbados for?" "I'll live here." And it was just endlessly being asked, "Oh, where are you from? How long are you here for?" Like, "I live here." Like, it became quite irritating, if you know what I mean.
How much damage did this do to you?
Not a lot, really, because
how
it had just
psychologically scarred are you?
irritations, kind of like, it just didn't bother us. It was irritating, but it's one of them things, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you have someone that's, I mean, this is just what happens. I mean, if you have a town full of people who
Yeah.
have purple skin, and suddenly a guy shows up and he's got green skin, they're going to ask, like, "Oh, where are you from?" They're like, "Oh, I'm from here. I'm a mutant." You know, it's like what do you want? It's just natural. I mean, people are trying. I mean, people are pattern-seeking animals. They try to assess things that they see and try to square them with the reality that they know. It's not inherently bad or evil or somehow insidious. It's just curiosity, and everybody's got it.
Yeah. And then that's like the whole living up to white beauty standards. Yes, exactly. So
I'm
I was
gorgeous.
quite a scrawny, and I still am, a scrawny, white girl. When I was growing up, it would just look like a stick insect. And obviously in Barbados, obviously the black culture, it's the curvy figure and the nice ass. So I always felt as a teenager just awkward, and yeah, I was never going to live up to those girls. And also, I was quite interested in athletics, but you try being on the athletics team when you're faced with 90% black people. It's not going to happen.
You
Just, so
racist.
it was like, but you know what I mean? It's like there are a lot of athletics, especially in the running events and everything, are dominated by, black people trying to be in the athletics. I was always like the girl that tried. So it's just all microaggressions and everything that they go on about and then attribute to like whiteness and white privilege and stuff is just nonsense. Yes, okay, they are things, they do happen, but you're attributing a negative thing to it that doesn't need it. It's a thing, it's a fact, it happens.
Well, it's a human thing,
right?
I mean, it doesn't matter
neither
about
good nor bad, but you are attributing something negative to it for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah,
you could just let it be a thing and deal with it. It's not, it didn't ruin my life. Like, looking back now, I've only really thought about it when I've been like obviously looking into all of this stuff, and I just think, that happened to me when I was a kid, but I just never thought anything of it. Really, I understood that it was because I was different. So it just really bugs us. And the same with the whole misogyny. And like, I've seen somebody, was it that Ashley Judd? Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she did this talk on the whole misogyny thing, and then she was going on about solutions, and she was like, "Let's talk about white men." And I thought, right, because I've never felt scared at being catcalled in America when I've been, or in England or anything, but in Barbados I did. That's scary when at 14 years old you're walking down the street and there's people hissing at you and calling you white meat, and you're just like, so I'm 14 for starters. That's just wrong. Why white and meat? Oh yeah, it just didn't make us feel comfortable at all. And I'm like, and it's not just white men. I don't understand. I think it's because they just don't see outside their own borders sometimes. No offense to any Americans here. If you know what I mean. They just don't, I don't know, that seemed quite, that because it happens there, that means it's white people, but they're only seeing the white people in white majority countries. They're not seeing it from the perspective of white people in other countries.
Insular.
Yeah. Oh no, why did I say white meat with them there? Never mind, carry on.
bit partial to a bit of red meat.
Yeah, so that's what I think grinds my goat. And why I get angry when I watch these things about it all. And I think microaggressions, it's not just white people.
Was that a mashup of two phrases there? Grinds my gears and gets my goat.
What?
Grinds my
Did
goat.
I say grinds my goat? Probably is.
Yeah.
I
That sounds like haggis.
Make up my own words and phrases.
Soylent Green is the best meat.
Ew. Fucking do.
Soylent Green. No.
What's Silent Green from again?
What's that from?
The what now?
Scribe, you'll know.
Soylent
Green.
Soylent Green is from the movie Soylent Green.
Is that what it's called? Is it?
Oh.
Yeah.
No, the film was actually called.
Like I've heard the term, but I don't
So
really know.
it's this sci-fi movie.
Soylent Green is people.
Yeah, Soylent Green is people. It's a sci-fi movie from I think the late or early 70s of Charlton Heston and Edward Gene Robinson. And it's this dystopian future where, food supplies have become very low, and it's this sort of society, and they offer this thing called Soylent Green. It's sort of like a superfood. It sort of like keeps everybody alive. And then, of course, by the end of the movie, they find out that Soylent Green is essentially the recycled bodies of the people who are dying on the planet. So it's just human beings feeding on themselves, and that's the big reveal. Soylent Green is people. Oh my god! I mean, if you look at it now, the fashion, the clothes fashion they used in that movie, it's like, oh my god, it's so bad. It makes my eyes hurt just thinking about it. But yeah, it was one of those like with Logan's Run, and there were a lot of sort of and I Am Legend, or I guess it was the Omega Man back then.
Has anybody ever seen Naked Lunch?
Yes.
Oh my days!
Several times.
That film made my brain hurt.
Mm-hmm.
A lot.
Yep, that was one of the weirder ones to come out back in the God, what was it, like 80, 88, 89, something like that when that came out?
Oh, I'm not sure.
It's a while back.
I think I watched it like a bit after it had been out, to be fair.
Let's see. I remember it coming out in the theater. I'm that old. Let's see. When did that come out?
So I think me and my friends went through a phase of just trying to find like strange and weird films, or the worst film that we could possibly find as
1991.
well. All right.
That's around the same.
Maybe I did watch it when it had just recently come out then.
Yeah, it was a David Cronenberg movie. David Cronenberg, man, that guy, him and oh god, what's his name? The guy who does Twin Peaks, David Lynch. I guess it's a bunch of Davids. Yeah, Cronenberg did The Fly. He did History of Violence. He did the Nightbreed. He did all. Oh no, wait, no, Nightbreed wasn't him. He was in Nightbreed as an actor, which is a weird thing. I like Cronenberg though. He does a lot of weird movies.
Yeah, I kind of like strange movies. Apart from Donnie Darko, I just didn't.
You didn't like Donnie Darko?
I did not get that film. Well, I got it and thought it was stupid. So I watched it and I was like, that's the worst film.
Have you watched any?
Why did I waste 2 hours of my life? But all my friends, all of them, even those whose film taste I generally respected, were like, it was brilliant. You mustn't have understood it. You mustn't.
Have you watched any,
and there was that many of them. And I watched it again and thought, now I've wasted 4 hours of my life.
Do you watch much David Lynch, or have seen much of his stuff?
I don't like know people's names or anything like that. To me,
Lost Highway. Let's see, Blue Velvet, Mulholland Drive. Any of these ring the bell?
I don't think
okay,
so.
you should look up some David Lynch movies and watch some of those, because you'd probably like those too if you like weird movies. Because he doesn't get much weirder than David Lynch.
All right.
Especially Eraserhead. If you can get through Eraserhead.
I may have watched that.
Yeah, that's some crazy shit right there.
See, I think my problem is I watched a lot of films. I think maybe he's too young, or before my mindset had changed. There's a lot of films I would like to go back and watch now that I think I would probably get a different meaning from if I saw it again.
Right.
But Like, there's some horror films I wish I could watch, but I cannot watch horror films. They give us nightmares. I'm already scared of the dark.
Modern horror films have lost a step. The best, the sort of the horror renaissance was back in like the 80s, and everything since then has just been trying to imitate stuff, and the leaning too much on masses of gore rather than like atmospheric scares. Like the difference between like The Exorcist and Hostel.
Oh, The Exorcist, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my brother begged Mummy. Yes, I call her Mummy. Just get over it. So
Mummy.
begged Mummy to watch The Exorcist. I think I might have been about 13. So my brother would have been 11. And she was like, no, I don't think you should. And we begged and begged and begged and begged. And we pestered her that much. She was always the one for giving you a taste of your medicine as punishment. So she was like, right, okay, then we'll watch it. So we climbs in all into the bed together to watch The Exorcist. And then it gets to the bit where her head twists around and her eyes roll up into her head.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, me and my brother ran out of the room and went and hid under our beds. We could just hear Mummy pissing herself laughing in the bedroom. So she left in about 5 minutes and then came and got us and made us watch the rest of the film. She was like, no, you wanted to watch it. You will watch it. Yeah. It was a long time before I begged to watch a horror film again, I tell you.
Yeah, the horror genre has lost a step. It's not really scary anymore. I mean, there's a few exceptions. I mean, some like the Babadook and like Oculus and some movies that have come out recently have done a better job of leaning on the psychological edge of horror than the gore slasher flick kind of stuff of horror, which I appreciate.
You need to watch,
like, I like
to watch
Seven.
Japanese horror films instead then.
Oh,
Old Boy.
Oh God, Old Boy.
That was Korean, you shitlord.
Well, fuck you.
They're all the same.
Eesh. I'm gonna have to scrub that out of our stream.
It was horrible, but it wasn't a horror film.
No. But no, I don't watch. It's like The Ring. I didn't watch that.
Oh, Ringu.
I thought no, the original Japanese Ring.
Yeah, Ringu.
Yeah, Ringu. I've seen all the Japanese ones, and they're bringing. There's a new one coming out from Hollywood, I believe.
Another.
Yeah, they've always got to remake them because the originals are never good enough.
Did you see The Eye? The Japanese horror of The Eye. Oh, you should look if you haven't seen that. You should look that one up.
No.
That was kind of creepy. It's a lady that gets an eye transplant. She gets like injured in something, and she gets the eye of a dead person. She starts seeing ghosts through that one eye, and it's all a bunch of crazy stuff.
Oh.
That sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen Dark Water? Have you seen that?
Yes, I saw Dark Water. I also saw The Pirates of Dark Water, which is a completely different thing, but yeah.
No, my friend loves all this sort of atmospheric horror films, and he said, "Oh, you need to watch Dark Water." So I did, and yeah, I did.
Yeah, no, it's American attempts at remaking or doing the style of like Asian horror, just or just remakes in general. You ever see Let the Right One In, the original, like the
Yes.
Okay, now that one that's a masterpiece, and then they remade it in America or Britain or whatever, shot for shot. Called it the Let Me In or something, and it's like, why would you make a shot-for-shot remake within the same decade that the first one came out? They did this with Insomnia. They did it with Let the Right One In.
Tattoo.
The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Yeah, it's like there's
those original films.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and just put they're always so scared of putting a movie into theaters in the general populace of especially the Western market with subtitles. I mean, God forbid people have to read.
Racist.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, there's subtitles, so we can't market it the same as we could. It's like, hey, did you guys remember Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon? Because that thing did so awful at the box office in America. For God's sakes, come on, it's bullshit. Just play the originals. Stop remaking stuff that doesn't need to be remade.
Yeah, I like the Japanese. Watch like Heroes, one of my favorite films.
Mm.
Oh, love that film. It's just so cinematic as well.
Well, I tell you what, the
It's an
Japanese
amazing film.
sure as hell know how to do a spectacle movie, because even if the movies aren't that good, you just look at the visuals of some of the stuff they've been pumping out over the last 10 years. It's like, holy cow, everything looks like it's Ron or like The Last Samurai or something all over the place. It's like, holy cow.
I did enjoy The Last Samurai. Like,
Or I'm thinking of I don't mean the Tom Cruise movie. I mean, was that the name of the? I think it was Akira Kurosawa and Toshiro Mifune. I think it was called The Last Samurai, or maybe I'm thinking of something else. I might be confused.
I watched 47 Ronin the other day.
Oh God! I'm sorry. You're not going to get that time back either. Keanu Reeves is a samurai. Why? I don't know. Just because. It's like Matt Damon is a Chinese mythology figure. Why? I don't know. Just because.
I haven't seen much of Tony Jaa lately, but I liked his films as well.
Hmm.
He hasn't made any more. I think I like him because you hear all the bones break. Like, I don't like horror films, but I like.
You don't like horror movies, but you like violence. I like extreme violence, but not horror movies. No. Horror movies are too much for me. But seeing people get like that's fine.
Yeah, violence I don't mind.
So do you like Bloodsport and Jean-Claude Van Damme movies?
I did enjoy them, but he's just hard to watch because he's such a poser.
Hey, you got something against JCVD? That's not good. Don't disrespect JCVD.
I did watch all of those films, though, but I was more of a Steven Seagal.
Out for justice.
Yeah.
You can take that to the bank, Senator. The blood bank. I mean, God. Oh, those lines. I saw all those movies when I was a kid.
It's just the sound of all the bones breaking, and that was brilliant. I like Spartacus as well. I had some epic death scenes in it.
Yeah.
Oh, he just slices the front of that guy's face off, and it just slides down. I was just like, yes. I think there's something wrong with this.
What do you mean, us, you crazy nutball?
No, there's me. It's Jodie for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Geordies are weird and they say us instead of me.
Oh, really?
You needn't talk.
So you're all multiple personality disorders just walking around? That's great.
Yeah. We are all one. We are Legion.
Oh, no. You will become one with the Geordie. We will assimilate your uniqueness into our collective.
I'm trying not to read the chat because it's just, I don't even want to know.
Because Captain Snuggles is saying some pretty gross things right now.
Yeah,
he should be ashamed of himself
all the time.
Jeez Louise. Bunch of
This is
freaks.
what I deal with all the time. I deal with these lot.
Laura Bones brings you One Night in China. Oh God. I've seen One Night in China. It's the most, it's the worst thing ever because you can just tell that she does not want to be there doing what she's doing. It's so bad. It's so uncomfortable.
I get a pickup line a day off Baz.
Oh.
That was terrible and brilliant at the same time.
My phone's ringing. 1 sec.
We've kind of moved off topic a little bit as well, really.
Just a little bit.
Films.
I gotta go, guys. My mom's calling, so I'll talk to you guys later.
Oh yes, Mom's come first.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for being here on my first stream.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.
Bye.
So.
I told you, it's fucking awful. Oh dear. I'm not even sure I want to. Oh. So would this automatically just upload publicly anyway? After I won't have to do anything, or do I?
Don't ask me. I've never done a stream.
I just thought you might have. picked up. Anybody in the chat know? There's no point asking them a lot. They probably haven't got a brain cell between them. Bye, Baz.
I thought he was maybe saying bye to Scribe.
Ah, obviously he is.
Maybe.
Peachy bum flaps. Oh.
Oh dear.
Well, that's quite interesting. You don't really watch films. I just caught up in the chat.
No, not really.
Oh. So what do you watch? Or do you not have time to watch?
What do I not have time to watch? All the things.
No, I mean, like, what do you watch instead? Like, if you don't watch films or whatever, like, what do you watch? TV shows, or do you not like particularly watch anything?
Don't really watch anything. I'm like the worst person to have on a stream to talk about, you know, sort of pop culture and stuff.
I'm not very clued up on the modern stuff.
Well, by pop culture, I mean anything from the last 100 years.
You can't be that old.
No, I just don't know anything.
I just don't know anything. Can I have that in writing? It's official. Like, you heard it here first, folks. Teal knows nothing.
Yeah, I know nothing. I know nothing. As CP just said in the chat, I'm boring as fuck.
Well, you haven't been boring on my first stream. It's been interesting.
Really? I haven't really said very much. Scribe just kind of came in and started being all sensible and talking and stuff. Okay, fair enough.
I'll have to listen to it back and see how it went. It was interesting from where I was sitting anyway. But I like just having interesting conversations, even if I'm just sitting and listening.
Well, you were talking too.
Oh well, that's alright then.
Mainly me just going, I'm just letting talk.
You should have just interrupted, asserted yourself, being all manly and shit.
I didn't have anything to say. I was just like, yeah, sounds about right.
I don't have a crew. Oh, what happened? Have I lost my crew? Is that it? Oh dear. I think they're upset at the brain cell.
They don't know how to be upset.
They know I love them all.
I don't.
Fucking moo.
Yeah, everyone's just going, fucking moo. One trick.
What did that even come from? Oh, it was in a stream, I think.
Yeah, I basically just said fucking moo.
Somebody was going on about steak.
A story behind the fucking moo thing, though.
Well, there's a story behind it.
Yeah. Where I sort of got it from.
Oh, how then? Everyone likes a story.
It was kind of it's a very short story, but it was quite a spontaneous thing. Basically, I was being intimate with this lady, and she liked a bit of play fighting, and at one point I ended up sort of on all fours, and I just charged at her with my head. I just went fucking moo and knocked it over. knocked her off the bed. And then we couldn't do anything because we were laughing so hard for about an hour.
Ah, yes. It's made it all worthwhile.
Baz, she wanted to. She really did want to, but I wouldn't let her.
Pagan, what's... Oh, okay. I nearly had a moment where I asked what that was, and then my brain kicked in and went, no, come on, just think about it for a second. Oh dear. Right. Anyway, what time is it? 11:45. Should
Yeah.
probably maybe just wrap things up. So I'm gonna have to go to work tomorrow.
Probably, yeah. I'm fucking knackered.
Oh yes, you've had a long drive today. Bless you.
I have.
Things occurred on the drive back.
What? Did anything occur on the drive back?
No dangerous things occurred on the drive back.
No, I just got stuck behind this absolute idiot. Once I got off the motorway, I went the scenic route. And this guy just, he would be going at the speed limit, and then he would slow down for no reason, and then he'd speed up really fast, and then he would slow down really quickly, and I'd nearly crash into the back of him.
Maybe he was just fucking with you.
Probably, yeah. Fucking Volvo drivers.
Hey, my granddad used to drive a Volvo.
Well, there you go.
Just swear by them. And my dad was always sobs.
Check you guys with this Swedish shit.
It's just the things I remember from being a kid.
Was the fucking news on the scene? Fucking Baz, though.
Yeah, me and my friend drove to, we went to Liverpool to meet up with some of her friends.
My
and
condolences.
We decided on the way down, we went like through the middle of fucking nowhere, really, to be fair. After about 2 hours, all we saw was fields and sheep.
Sounds
So it
right.
was quite good, really, to be fair. There wasn't really many other cars or anything. We just had the music on, and it wasn't so bad. But on the way back, yeah, it was horrendous. It was bucketing down with rain. There was traffic everywhere.
Even off the road.
Yes, that's why there's a lack. Seeps, irate bears streaming as well. Nobody knows me. Right,
Nope.
Anyway. So, everybody, thanks for sticking around to watch. Thank you very much to Tailed Feature for joining me on my first stream.
You're very welcome.
Say bye.
Bye.
How do I just stop broadcasting?
How do you end it?